cases, by accident, you can even be associated with something that you don't really know much about, but because you're present or you're well positioned in that field, automatically you have a career. Now, based on some ideologies that social status can also play a role being a career person, you could actually have an appointment as um, a special assistant to a governor and automatically you become a politician just because you're attached to that person. But maybe by profession, you're somebody who does IT support and so many other things. But the social status of the third party you're working with now, automatically you can be termed person who is maybe a politician by career or something. Anybody can actually put to that classification. Now the third one is a very very interesting one because I think um, I fall between three and number one. So it's a choice made by a person which may be lifelong or can be developed through work experience. So I always say that I believe life is a process, or so many other things you come across is a process. There's a place where you prepare yourself, and before you start that preparation, you would have told yourself, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is where I want to be, and this is what I have to do to get there. So the preparation just solidifies your beliefs to an extent that okay, at time X, you might actually get to this point, but these are some of the things you have to pass through so that when the time for validation comes in, you're good and ready to go. So I hope I've been able to touch on some of these things that concerns career, and the lifelong thing can be something that could be good and also be bad because sometimes there are decisions you can't take back, but you just have to face the consequences. And if you're so brave enough to actually go back, retrace your steps, and take some very, very serious beating, you can actually as well start again from where you're supposed to have gone to. So these are some of the questions I think at this point we should actually be pondering on. So what's an ideal career? Um, there's no perfect situation. And sometimes some people like to attain for perfection, but I like to call it ideal because in some cases there are some things you aspire for, but by the time you get into the main thing, you discover that there are some things you don't really need, and there's some things you actually don't. You should focus your energy on. So how can I choose a career? Can I seek help in decision making towards having a career? So this those three questions are some of the basis for our discussion or some of my opinions concerning how to choose a career path. And for you to have an ideal career, you have to start with something you love. Now, I know there are lots of the school of thought about doing what you love and balancing it with how you make money so that you stay motivated and how not to get carried away that you can actually love something that is not giving you money. That's why I call it ideal. There has to be a balance between you getting what you want, working in such a way that you're not wasting away, and in some cases you're not in such a way just pretending. So, let me set an example now. Somebody who is into information technology now. Now, if you're not somebody who loves the whole information technology thing, and you're forcing yourself to do it because you feel at this moment in time, I think it's the wave of the moment. I think at some point you just get bored for no just reason, and you just tire out and move on. So you have to ask yourself some personal questions and know what you love most. It could be the most ridiculous thing on earth, but like I always suggest to people, ICT as a whole is a tool. It's an enabling tool to any kind of situation you find yourself. You don't have to focus all your energy on thinking ICT is one final destination, but it can amplify whatever you feel makes you happy, whatever you feel can bring joy to somebody else, and in return get you some extra cash. So in all this, there must be a very thin line between mediocrity and being good at what you do. You can't pretend to be good, because at some point in time, time will tell. There will be a situation where that pretense will become like a disgrace. So put in the work, make sure you do what is necessary, and at the right time, you'll be positioned to to make most of what you've learned over time. Now, an ID career must be able to pay well. Now, pay well can be contextual in the sense that I could be as good as whatever I feel I am. I want to earn a month, but where I am at the moment, it's not giving me a millionaire. You get? So at that point, tell yourself the truth that okay, at now I'm earning maybe 300,000 or 400,000 or 500,000. That could actually be somebody's year's salary. And at that point, make use of it. Take care of your needs. Make sure you are well motivated, and at least you're making your family happy, basically. So it has to pay you well, some to an extent. It has to sustain your interest in whatever you feel you're doing. And motivation, like I always say to my people at Parity, is my primary focus. The moment I feel you're not motivated, I think I'm always that person that comes to you and asks you what's the problem, or how can we actually um, energize that thing that brought you to Parity. So motivation most times is something that people always overlook, but the moment you stop being motivated, the body language is something tied. It will affect every facet of that career you feel you're building. So how do I choose a career? So these are some of the things that I feel you should actually just take down, and at your own time, personal space, you can just ask some of yourself these questions. Now, one thing I should say about this talk I'm giving is that it's not a finite um, way to get something done, but it's something to help you aggregate whatever you've actually gotten from other people and even your personal beliefs, so that the final goal is to make sure you have a career to be happy about. So what are the interests you hold dear to heart? In some cases, some people just believe that once you're in IT, there are some things that should die, because IT has a stereotype that it's for very serious-minded people, very, very boring people, and any kind of stereotype that exists for IT. But trust me, there are things that make you come alive, and you should always make them evergreen, so that your motivation of being in IT won't die. Because if those things that make you happy stop existing, your relevance in IT will be affected to an extent. So you should always identify those interests, no matter how ridiculous they are to the third person or second person or anybody looking. Always keep them to heart and make sure you keep them active to an extent. What do you want to be? Many people know me for saying this. I want to be a software developer is different from I want to be a software developer in 3 months, in 6 months, and sometimes in 1 year. By the time you put a timeline to any action you want to achieve, it makes it more productive, because you know there's a silent voice telling you that you are yet to meet your deadlines, you're yet to meet your goals, you're yet to meet a lot of things. But by the time you tell yourself or tell people around you that by God's grace, we're going to do this, by God's grace, we're going to do that, you're just putting yourself on a very procrastinating level. At some point, you start wondering whether the devil is saying hi to you, or probably you just have to just tell yourself the truth that you're just not ready for the hard work. So what are your skills? Now here, this looks very similar to number one. So what are your skills that, okay, are you a very attentive person? Do you pay attention to people who are not good at what they do? Do you actually write well? Do you draw? There are lots of skills that you can actually have. And especially in nowadays, you're an IT person is not an excuse that you can't write a proposal or write a letter of introduction or write a very constructive article based on what you know. You just have to make sure there's a balance between everything you know and what you need to dish out to people. So the skills here can be something you learn, it can be something you come with. Like my Nigerian people would say follow come skills. Those things that you don't know how it happened, but it happened. So skills can be imbibed, it can be learned, it can even be borrowed themselves. Like there are people you stay around and you start to get anointing of how they do stuff, and before you know it, you have some skills you didn't know where they came from. So what type of career aligns with my skills and interests? Now you can't be a tailor and be somebody who don't like materials. There's this joy you derive from talking about software design, software this, software that. If you're an IT person, for an instance, and all these things I'm talking about, it's not just focused only on IT, but can apply to any field. Although this is Hello World tech career workshop, but I feel if you can apply some of this advice, some of these opinions to any field, and tell yourself that this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. There are lots of things that will come your way, and you'll be so excited you took that decision. So what will I be comfortable in doing as part of my work? Those little things that make you who you are should always be brought to the table, no matter where you find yourself. But you should always be very mindful that you are working with other people, you are rubbing minds with other people. So there must always be a balance between people's interest and what you believe. So for my own take on this, you should also be very, very careful about how what makes you comfortable can make somebody disgusted. So I think apart from that, we're just going to move on to the next one, which is how to make a career decision. So I try as much as possible to make them short, very concise, so that anybody who would like to go through the slides will know that he or she is not having, or he or she is not going through an information overload, but can actually just pick very sizable number of things to work on and be in his way or her way to great things. So having a career goal with a self-rewarding experience is something that most of us should achieve or try to get to, because like I said in the previous slides, once you put a timeline to anything you want to do, it rewires your brain. So once you tell yourself, okay, I want to be a software engineer that will work in Facebook, yeah, it could be very, very massive. It could be crazy, but Facebook can mean anything to anybody. It could also mean that you transform a company from what it is to what Facebook could look like. You might not attain the goal of working in Facebook, but Facebook standards, Facebook ideologies are so obvious for everybody to see. So once you just look at it, study it, you can actually build your own Facebook or probably transform a company, like I said, or a startup into what Facebook represents. So prepare a workable career. Now, most of my discussions always are quite related. So this is more like telling yourself that there's a process involved in having a career or trying to create one. The place where you have to put in the work, you have to make sure you don't pretend, you don't procrastinate. Even if you procrastinate, you move on sharply in no time. And third one is counseling sessions with professionals. I didn't want to say have a mentor, because nowadays people are misunderstanding the whole concept of mentoring and where a mentor can play a very vital role. Now, a session with somebody who you have very high regard for can actually play a very vital role in some decisions you make. And once in a while, instead of throwing the words of can you be my mentor to them, you can actually just pay them a visit and ask them a few questions. I think that would be more presentable and more diplomatic on how to get to them, because nowadays I think people are even getting scared of being people's mentor because it comes with one additional responsibility that I don't know, that doesn't exist, but people and their own ideologies. So just to touch up on the workable career plan. A plan is just more like an action, like a path to action, where you just start from point A and you try and see how you get to point B. So in case you look very closely, it's workable, not a career plan, just something that can work. If you notice what you're trying to do doesn't make sense, please just drop it, destroy it, and keep it somewhere. Start something new that works with you. I'm not saying you should be a mediocre, like because you feel okay, this is very comfortable for you. You just go below some basic principles and try and make sure that you don't stress yourself. So I believe I've come to the point where I do a recap, and this is what I have to say. This is what I have to say concerning all what I've said. And most careers end up with an upfront investment of time, money, and effort to acquire required knowledge and skills. There are no perfect careers. You need to pick the best one. So I know some people will be believing that, okay, I know there are people who are perfectionists, yeah, but in some cases, in case you don't get what you want, you also have a decision to make to also transform what you have to what you want it to be. So if you make a wrong choice, be brave enough to change it in a controlled manner. Now, this controlled manner is just to tell you that, okay, you don't have to live in self-guilt that you didn't do this, you didn't do that, so I have to suffer myself and get to that point. So your self-interest is very important in choosing a career. So before I round up, I would like to add some things that I didn't actually include in this slide, which is now most times there is this nonchalance to what kind of personality you have and how it can affect your choice in most cases. Now I needed to say this because I think there are four popular personalities. I think sanguines, melancholy, and there are other two that I can't remember. I think somebody can actually help me with that. But by the time you go through some of this personality types, it will help you understand the kind of person you are and know what you should actually work on so that you don't stay on the bandwagon of I've been trying all my life and nothing's working. Then secondly, before choosing a career, you have to also know the kind of person you are. Do you work with or without no supervision and you still give results, or you need somebody to actually make sure you get those things done at the right time? Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because although most people always overlook this, but there are people who can't work alone. There are people who need to be shouted on before they get things done. And if you don't do that, they won't come out with the best result. So by the time you identify some of these lapses and probably find a very workable solution to them, it will make sense that you're not shying away from who you are, but you're actually using some of the drawbacks or some of the things that make you who you are to be a stronger person. And finally, you also need to know that you have to live and let live. Now, there are people who, during the course of trying to choose a career, they rubbish people, they make people feel less of themselves. They make the whole idea of having a career become like a tussle for relevance and so many other things that they might call important. You also have to place a balance between what you want to achieve and how people will benefit or live in denial because of your existence. So I hope in my short discussion or presentation, I've been able to inspire somebody to do something great with his or her talent. And I'll be very, very glad to hear questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sanamdi. It was an honor having you on this platform, and it's a great privilege. Okay, without wasting much time, I want to announce our second speaker, which is Danuska from Sri Lanka. Okay, and actually, I met Mr. Danuska on Facebook, and went through his profile. I was so impressed with all his projects, with all his repos, with all his. He's a software engineer. He's also a lead at Facebook Developer Cycles in Colombo. So, and with all the pedigree I saw, I was like, okay, it should be um, one of. Let me just say, this is it. It will be actually a great speaker, and will be able to be impacted by him on this platform. So, without wasting time, I will introduce Mr. Danuska to start his presentation. He's going to talk about how to choose a programming language.
Hi everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, great. So I was listening to the previous session. It was a really good one. I learned a lot. Thank you for that one first. And now I'm going to talk about how to choose programming language and write technology. First, I will introduce myself. My name is Danushka, and I'm a software engineer, also interested in full stack area, and working as one of a lead at Facebook Developer Circle in Colombo. So in my topic, I have separated this into two areas. One is programming language and technology. First, I will go through how to choose programming language. But before that, I would like to say what are the trending programming languages and things you need to know about programming languages first. So when it comes to programming languages, the careers requiring coding skills are well represented and well highlighted in Glassdoor's list of top jobs. So I have added this just for the motivation for the things you are doing right now. You are in a good path in the future perspective. And when it comes to programming language, there are several jobs, mainly front-end, Java developer, software engineering. Those things are there, as well as full stack engineering. It is becoming a huge one lately, because since 2015 it has 35% of hiring growth. So full stack engineering is one main thing you need to consider when you are stepping into this IT industry. And let me start with some programming languages I have came across to share what things you need to step into when you are choosing a programming language. So if you are stepping into web area, HTML, CSS is the easiest languages to start if you are new to coding. Actually, not exactly languages, but these are kind of markups. But they will provide a better knowledge in web area. And next is Python. Python is fastest growing language, the second most popular on GitHub, because Python is everywhere actually. Like Java, Python is in desktop applications, and Python can be used for the web applications using Web2Py, and Python can be used for the APIs in Flask, and Python is for the machine learning data science stuff as well. So that means Python is like everywhere. That's why it is in the growing list. And next thing is JavaScript, one of the most commonly used. Number one in the GitHub. So this is must know thing if you are stepping into uh, front-end development, back-end development as well these days with Node.js. And Go. This is a kind of a trending language, highly in demand actually, and came into the stage lately, but less number of developers are working in this language. So it's a good point to start if you are stepping up to new career path or starting to learn new things. That's a good shot to go. Next thing, there are several languages like Scala, Ruby, TypeScript, Rust, and Kotlin. they are top in demand actually. Kotlin is one of the good thing I have came across recently, and TypeScript is becoming more popular with Angular, also in React as well, and Rust, Ruby. There are all they also have some kind of good things, but they are keep going on the track actually. So my suggestion is, if you are stepping into programming languages, master one object-oriented language like Java and master one functional programming language like Python or JavaScript stuff. Because if you're mastering one thing, it will be more easier to move with another languages, because all the languages are same actually, except the additional features. Let me explain it like that. If you are stepping into a programming language, you need to know how to execute it. Like if when we are working with Java, we know how to compile it using Java C. And when we are working with Node application, it also has some kind of another execution. So you need to know this one. And the next thing is, you need to learn how to initialize and declare variables in that language. And using those things and how to print value, you can start writing simple hello world program. So at that point, you are kind of familiar with the language and you know how to compile it. Then you are confident enough to get in touch with those languages. After that, you need to learn how to use if-else conditional programming stuff and how to work with loops and handle errors. These are the main things every language has. So if you learn those things, it will be more easy to get in touch with other features provided by the language. So when it comes to choosing programming language, you need to consider several things. The environment of executing. This is the main reason, because when we are executing web application, we need to have a web server. When we are executing Java application, we need to have JDK, Java Development Kit, Java environment. So those things need to be considered when choosing a programming language. Will it be feasible to run? It will be okay to go with, like those things. And the next thing is vendors and the platform. When we are going with some kind of cloud platform solutions, there are several vendors there out there. And when it comes to JavaScript stuff, React is backed by Facebook, and Angular is backed by Google. Those are continuously growing because they are backing. They have good backup from those companies as well. Those things are need to be considered when choosing a programming language. And ecosystem and community is most important. The ecosystem explains how the overall programming language is designed and its features. And if the programming language has good ecosystem and good communication with other languages as well, it has long way to go. It will exist much more than others. And the community, if any language has better community like JavaScript these days and Angular, React, so if you can find better community, you won't be alone. You can find answers to your problems always. And the next thing is demand and industry trends, because you need to learn programming languages to use in your personal projects or use it for your career. So when it comes to career, it is a good thing to consider about the industry demand, because otherwise you will end up wasting your time. And the next thing is connection with other languages and ecosystem. This also comes with ecosystem actually. Language like Node.js can easily integrate with MySQL and Python, those things easily. So these kind of things will be the good features to exist long way as a language. And the vision of the language. So vision of the language can be easily found in the GitHub repos and those things, because there you can find what are the issues and what are the future development they are coming with. So those things define the strength of the language and the vision as well. That's all for the programming areas. Next thing is technology, how to choose technology. In this area, I also plan to go through several technologies, and after that I will explain how to choose it in different aspects. This thing, machine learning. Everyone know machine learning these days because it's kind of a most popular thing. Everyone says machine learning. Simply, this name says everything about machine learning, because machine learning is simply maths and algorithms. Simply, if you are good at maths and machine learning stuff, good at algorithms, you can stepping into machine learning career, learning machine learning technologies. According to McKinsey, 49% of companies are currently exploring or planning to use machine learning. Like machine learning can be applied to every industry, including healthcare, education, finance, those things. The possibilities are endless, and you can apply your machine learning skill to a role that suits your personality and interest as well. So that means machine learning is a kind of a trending thing that explains there are over 12,000 open job positions listed on LinkedIn alone. And not only that, Indeed's #1 best job in America for 2019 is the machine learning engineering, and average salary for the machine learning engineering is 138K. This is average salary. I have added several average salary levels for each job opportunities, job roles, but these are not the static values. These can be vary, but I added this for the motivation purposes and just to show the status of the each job can hold. And next thing is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is also a trending topic these days, because it is increasingly with widespread adaptation, and with machine learning it's going all along well. So the hiring growth for the AI specialist has grown 74% annually in the past 4 years, and AI specialist earned LinkedIn's #1 emerging job spot. So that explains machine learning is a worth shot if you are trying to change your career and starting a new career. So average salary would be 122K across various AI careers. There are several AI jobs, AI job roles out there. So that means AI everywhere. In the future, it will be more. So you can plan your career now with these technologies. And front-end frameworks, the most popular thing out there these days, actually. So everyone is talk about those things, front-end frameworks, React, Angular, Vue, those things, and Svelte as well is coming into this stage these days, but it's a good thing actually. So learning front-end framework is must for the front-end engineers and as well as full-stack engineers. There are lots of front-end frameworks. There were a lot of actually Knockout.js, Backbone.js, and late then Angular came into the role and React came in, and then Vue. Those things, everything, every year there is a new front-end framework is available. But the thing is, every framework has similar features. Like I have mentioned in the programming languages, if you can select those special features, like how to handle the DOM elements and those things, if you can extract those features, you can easily move with all the frameworks. All the frameworks has the similar features, except the features added especially for that framework. So for the front-end framework perspective, there are two main jobs can be considered: front-end engineers and full-stack engineers. Salary ranges would be like that, 76K and 105K. The next thing, this is kind of a really new technology these days, the mixed reality. Mixed reality is about mixing virtual reality with the real world view in real time, ending in creating new environment with computer generated objects simulated into real scene. So that is going along with AR and VR actually. According to Hyde's 2019 State of Software Engineering report, demand for AR and VR engineers surged by incredible 1,400%. So that is a good shot. Actually, AR and VR is becoming much more popular in the future. We can see it from these stats. The market size was around 6.1 billion in 2016. It is expected to reach 215 in billions by 2021. That explains the demand in the industry for this one. And salary ranges would be like that. The next thing is data science and analytics. When it comes to data science and analytics, This technologies mainly came into role to accelerate the businesses decision making and greater accuracy and increase the sales, and those things also were the main reasons to consider this job area. So 84% of enterprises have launched an advanced analytics and big data initiatives in the past years. That makes the data scientist jobs, mainly data analyst and data scientists, are the third best jobs in America according to Glassdoor's annual best jobs. There are two main jobs we can consider in data science and data analytics area: data analyst and data scientist. Salary ranges would be like that, but it can be vary actually depending on your employee. Next thing is data engineering. Data engineering is a kind of a different thing from data science in the technology perspective as well, because data engineers build the infrastructures and tools that data scientists rely on to conduct their own work. In some ways, data engineering is more closely related to software engineering other than other data roles we have discussed, like data scientist and data analyst. So that means if you are still interested in data area, but you wanted to be a software engineering career growth, so that is a good thing to consider. Next thing, network and information security. Simply, we can say cybersecurity. So when there is a data breach, the first person you came into your mind is cybersecurity engineers. So the number of data breaches increased by 50% in 2019. For any company that collects customer information or deals with sensitive data of their own, keeping networks secure is a must. When data breaches do happen, they can be big and newsworthy and costly for the company to recover them. If you can remember, there were recent cases with Snapchat, Twitter, and Apple as well. So the company demand for the security engineers has increased by 132% because of these reasons. So if you are still interested in this cybersecurity career, it's a good shot, but you need to learn and get some certifications as well before you are starting. Also, 6 of the 15 top paying IT certifications are focused on security, and average salary range would be 99K, and it is expected to reach 3.5 million unfilled jobs by 2022. So that means there is a space available if you are stepping up to a new career path with cybersecurity. And next, this is a kind of important thing and came into stage very recently, but it is playing very well, because according to Gartner, the business value of blockchain will be 3.1 trillion by 2030. Between late 2017 and 2018, demand for the blockchain engineers increased by 400%. Actually, this is used by several industries like banking and insurance, those areas. Actually, original device for the digital currency Bitcoin, after that blockchain has evolved. So the salary range for this one is around 150K and 175K. And next thing is cloud computing. And this is a kind of a popular thing these days actually, because of the main companies like Google, AWS, and Microsoft holding the industry demand for this one. According to Gartner, the market for public cloud services is projected to grow by 17% in 2020 to total 266.4 billion. So most in demand with cloud computing skills are AWS, and Asia is also there. I'm not sure about exactly Google, but it is a kind of a trending thing as well. But if you are starting a career as cloud computing professional, you need to get some certifications, and as well as learning some software development stuff, Linux and DevOps things also there, including Docker. So average salary for the cloud computing professionals in all cloud computing careers would be 146K. And here we comes to Internet of Things. This all are connected actually, cloud computing and Internet of Things, because data should be shared between things. In broad sense, the term IoT encompasses everything connected to internet, but it is increasingly being used to define objects that talk to each other. The McKinsey Global Institute predicts that IoT will have total economic impact up to 11 trillion by 2025. So that means Internet of Things is still growing and long way to go. According to 2016 poll, 94% of businesses were investing in initiatives to prepare for the IoT. Actually, that shows the demand for the IoT stuff in the future. Then average salary for the cloud computing professionals would be 101K. This can be very, actually, as I mentioned earlier. And here we comes to the UI UX. This is a kind of an interesting thing, and with high demand, because 87% of managers surveyed by Adobe said hiring more UX designers is the #1 priority for their organization, because at the end of everything, UX and UI is the thing going to interact with their customers in the first place. And there are 14,000 UX designer jobs in the United States alone, and 24,000 in Europe. So there's a space available for you if you are good in UI UX area. You can sharp up your skills and get into track to clear your future in a better way. And it's a meme time. So in simply, we can say UI is thing we see and UX is what we interact. But I only wanted ketchup. So it's meme time now. Let's move into the mobile development. When it comes to mobile development, there are over 49,000 mobile developer jobs posted on Glassdoor, and the app economy is predicted to be worth 6.3 trillion by 2021. It was 1.3 trillion in 2016. So that you can simply identify the number gaps. The growth has been taken by mobile development lately. There are 3.5 billion smartphones users in the world today. So that means the numbers are continuously growing every year. Mobile development has different kind of aspects like hybrid mobile development and native mobile development. But the average salary would be 96K, but the starting can be different. But the future of mobile development goes beyond phones, not only for mobile application. It can be wearable technologies, Internet of Things, and increasingly improving for the AR, VR as well. So there is a long way to go in mobile development as well. The next thing is database. Database technologies are kind of a different thing, but something won't go away in the near future, because we all need to store our data. That means there are several main databases available: MySQL, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, and Redis. Those things are available. But there are two main jobs we can consider: database administrators and database engineers. When it comes to database administration, you need to learn how to configure databases. You need to get some certifications as well. But when it comes to database engineering, you need to learn the inner concept like sharding, caching, and those stuff as well. And average salaries would be like that for database administrator and database engineer. Now we are coming to the point how to choose right. Right technology can be separated into two areas: career and business. First, let me go through for the what is right in career perspective. Learning curve is a must thing you need to consider when choosing a technology, because if the technology has large learning curve, you won't be able to complete it soon. And you need to consider about the certification as well. You need to consider certifications as well, because these certifications makes your jobs secured actually in the perspective of earning different kind of certifications will make your salary and your community engagement as well, because it can improve your learning in a different ways actually. And if you are stepping into technology that has a better community, as I have mentioned earlier, the thing is there is a community always to support you. That means having a technology with better community will always good for you. Next thing we need to consider is in business perspective.
Mama, go and bring companies speakers.
And the next thing is in what is right in business perspective. Where not only in career perspective, if you are choosing the technologies for your business or startup or anything, you need to analyze your business needs. Otherwise, you will end up choosing lots of technologies that won't be useful, and choose technologies that grows with your business. Choose technology that has vision and better quality will support you for have a good blending with the technology as well. So always think in terms of need, because without having a proper need, if you go for another technology, it won't be useful. And always have a backup plan. Always think, if we are going with this technology, what would be the backup plan? Because otherwise you will end up wasting your time and money as well in the business perspective. And don't forget about the trainings as well. There are lots of trainings out there, free ones and paid ones. It's up to you to choose, but you need to consider trainings as well, and as well as learning curve, because after the trainings, your people need to get into the track with the technology. And so that's all from me to share with you on the topic. So thank you for being with me for the past around 30 minutes of time. And you can find me on the social media. And if you have any questions, you can ask me now. And I would like to say it's Corona time, so stay safe, guys.
Hello?
Hello, any questions?
Yes, I do have a question.
Yeah, sure.
I would like to ask examples of object-oriented programming and functional programming.
Good. So when it comes to object-oriented programming languages, Java is the main thing we can say, because Java is the widely used object-oriented programming language, and .NET as well. And in the functional perspective, it would be Python and how can I say? In the functional programming aspect, it would be more into imperative programming languages like Lisp is also there, and JavaScript would be a functional programming language. But now it is moving into the object-oriented aspect with TypeScript things as well. Yeah, that's all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Danuska, for the wonderful session.
Yeah, it's glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming to this platform. Yeah. All right. Move straight to the next item. Okay. We mentioned in our form that we'll be having an hackathon. Okay. That is what we are on to now. Okay. Before the next speaker comes up, I'll be announcing the hackathon. So those participating in the hackathon would actually, okay, to avoid distraction, I would prefer that the hackathon should start immediately after the last speaker, when we get to question and answer. I don't want to distract the hackathon guys. So, but what we are going to do in the hackathon, let me just give you a brief introduction so that before that time, you would prepare for it. All right, so for the hackathon, we have a short challenge. So it should take you roughly 10 to 15 minutes. So, but things you need to know before the hackathon is that your code will be submitted via CodePen, and the place to submit your code should actually, you can either, there are several ways you can submit. Either you submit it here if you're on Zoom. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can actually submit it on YouTube. Then also, if you are if you prefer to send to our email, you can send it to helloworldup.dev@gmail.com. Okay, so those are the 3 ways you can submit your code. But I don't want to go into the hackathon now. But I just giving you the steps you should take before the hackathon. So if you don't have a CodePen account, create a CodePen account now so that you're able to submit a code. So, because we want to be able to, once you submit the code, be able to view it live and see and actually test the whether the hackathon is actually being achieved. The aim of the hackathon has been achieved. So without wasting time, I want to introduce our next speaker. Is my name Hassan Sani. Okay, I listened to Mr. Hassan first. I think during a webinar like this too. He's an Angular programmer, a JavaScript programmer. He uses Angular as framework, and he's also the founder of Angular Abuja. He's also a co-lead at Facebook Developer Cycle Abuja. So he's going to be sharing with us today on how to build a profile, a tech profile, using LinkedIn and GitHub. As a developer, you cannot escape from those two platforms. So without wasting much time, I'll introduce Mr. Hassan to give us the session. Mr. Hassan, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello, good morning. I'm here. Oh, good day, good afternoon.
All right. So
okay. First off, I don't know if you got my message on Twitter about sharing your screen so I can control slides from here. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My name is Asasani, and it has been an interesting talk so far. I've listened to a lot of two amazing speakers before me. Before we move on, I want to point out that as a developer, a profile is all that gives you that definition of who you are, that presentation of who you are to the public, to your colleagues, to your prospective employee. So, but all this takes to earn that. You need to, you can move around having your social media detox, and these are things I'm going to talk about as well. Social media handles and others that also promote yourself, but you need to have a focus on 1 or 2 things. So quickly, a portfolio is usually a representation of a portable showcase, something that tells your prospective employee, your community, your colleagues who you are in just a single glance. Now, you must be able to present that in a very short definition. For your portfolio to be capturing, like I said, you can have your social media handles where you present who you are, where you talk to your colleagues, where you talk about the things you do. You can have Twitter and always be interacting with your community. You can have Facebook and also be able to create your community, talk about things you do, build things you do with people, communicate, collaborate, and all those things. But if a community is to know more about you, or to want to know what your skill sets are, your journey so far, and your should I say, to look ahead in your own career path, Facebook and Twitter cannot give that focus, and it will mean that it will mean that it will mean too much noise, because there are too much concentration on whatever you're too much concentration on your career path. There's too much concentration. You need to give too much a lot of concentration on your skill sets. Now, as a portfolio, if you see the image down here, you will see that this is just defining exactly who they are. Their skill set is here. Now, that's what your portfolio should focus on: your skill set, your image. And I'm going to, as this talk goes on, I'm going to ponder more on all this network features. So, without taking too much, now, what a portfolio should have your legal name. Obviously, you don't want to use something like my name says I need a name. That's my social media nickname, and already you know what that is. It's an interesting name, but what does it mean? I need a name. It should be your legal name. Your profile, your profile site. If you are using your nicknames, your interesting name on Twitter, Facebook, on your portfolio site, it should be your legal name. No matter how it sounds, no matter how interesting it is, no matter how difficult it is to pronounce, it should be what you have to have on your portfolio site. A description of you, a quick description. It shouldn't be too long. Okay. So I was muted there, so I'm going to go back again. Your legal name, no matter how difficult it is to pronounce, no matter how interesting it is, no matter how it is for you, your legal name should be what comes on your portfolio first. And next, a description of you, a quick description of you, a quick introduction of who you are, what you aim to be as a developer, as a tech career person. Your journey shouldn't be too long. It shouldn't be 6 pages or some sort of long essay. It should just be something that really defines you. And also a list of skills. You should be able to identify your skills. Like if you're a mobile developer, you should be able to identify that mobile developer skills on your portfolio site, whichever it is. An image of you. This is on some spaces it's an optional to have, but if you must use an image, it should be your face image. Now, I said on some places, there are places where it is recommended and highly recommended that you use your own face image. Now, your face image. We'll move on to where these informations are required. Okay. Now, obviously, there are two, like I mentioned, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media spaces. You can do all these things. You can talk about yourself. You can interact with users, and you can really showcase your skills and also get traction. But using LinkedIn is quite different. It's a professional site, but it doesn't mean you have to be a professional to be able to manage your LinkedIn site. Just like the way you manage your own. Just the same way you manage your own. Okay, so I'm having a little screen crisis here, but just the same way you manage your own your social media handles, like your Twitter page, your Facebook page, all these set of things is the same thing. But in this case, with LinkedIn, you have to focus on some set of definitions about you, some set of projections about you. With LinkedIn, first, I want to point out the banner. On the banner aspect, when LinkedIn give you the possibility to use a banner. Now, with a banner, the same thing, you get to use the same thing on Facebook, you get to use the same thing on Twitter, a banner, a header, whatever you call it. But on LinkedIn, your banner has to focus on who you are. Now, this is a portfolio page. This is where you tell your prospective employer or your community or your colleagues who you project yourself as. So you should use the banner also to identify you. Now, if you look at the banner on this sample image I have here, you'll see that although my big head image is covering something there, which is one of my favorite logo. It's covering the Angular logo. There's an Angular logo at the back of that. You see what I have there is Angular, Node, and Git. Now, on that note, what it is I am an Angular developer. I work with Node as backend, and I can also collaborate. Now, if an employer, a prospective employer sees this, say, okay, I'm looking for a mid-stack developer. Oh, this guy is this is a mid-stack developer, all right? Because the banner already projects that aspect of my skills to my prospective employer or my community. Okay, this just like the admin mentioned that I'm an Angular, he has seen and also has learned some about my Angular skills. Probably with this already, when you visit this page, already you know this is an Angular developer that uses Node at the backend and is good with Collaborator. If you can go through the link again, I'll share the link. You'll see that it has Angular, Node, GitHub, and it equals to full stack. That's just me trying to project myself. You can do it any way you feel. You can really define who you are to your prospective employer, your colleagues, your professional colleagues. Now, one thing you must note, as for a portfolio site, do not, and I must emphasize, do not try to copy and paste, because this is a general page. Do not copy. It's highly recommended that you generate your own content that you are presenting to, because employment is about authenticity. It's about trusting who I am going to work with. It's not about, oh, this guy can. Yes, it is okay when you're working, and like we all say, it's okay to copy the code of Stack Overflow. Yes, but understand what you're copying. The same thing up here. It's okay to copy, but be able to really project yourself on this aspect, on these platforms. So the banner, if you must, and it's recommended that you use a banner. It is recommended because the LinkedIn is going to hang a banner there for you, and that's going to just tell your community or your friends or your colleagues or your prospective employer that, okay, this person doesn't have that time to work on his LinkedIn page. So LinkedIn is going to hang a banner there for you. If you feel it's too much for you to do, you can leave it there, and then you move on to other aspects that really talk about you. But it's interesting when your colleague or your prospective employee can just see at a first glance who I am talking to. It makes him move on to the next thing to look at. Even though without the banner, most people still move on to get to, because one thing I will emphasize here is, if you're applying for a job, you should know that most of these things if they are automated, you only get people to say, I want to read what this person is doing. I want to really go through. No, the recruiter doesn't have that time. They have like 10,000 other applicants they have to go through. Okay. Which is why I'm going to go to the next one, where your profile picture should not be an interesting picture of you jumping off the cliff. It shouldn't be a picture of you hugging your kids or being with your better half, or it should be an image that defines that shows who you are, in the sense that shows your head. That's your passport size. A passport size image shows your face. Your face should be an image that shows your face. So when your prospective employer is going through your profile, is aware that, okay, I'm not talking to a bot or a robot. I'm talking somebody and I can create an image to that person. Because it also gives that personality feel between you and your prospective employer or your colleague that, okay, this is the person I'm talking to. Or more like on Twitter, on Facebook, you can just have something there that may also define you in your own creative way. But on LinkedIn, it needs to be something where your employer or your colleagues, your community will really get the picture of who they're interacting with. And if you find a way to define that with something that is not your picture, but it's highly recommended that you use your picture. But if you find a way to define that without your picture and you feel your community, your colleagues can pick up that, your prospective employer can pick up that, fine. But highly recommended. I'm using this highly because I don't know if there is a way to do without your own picture. But if you find a way, interest. Now back to the full name. Your name, you must have your legal name here. It is. I don't think there's a second option to that. You cannot come again, use my names like my name. I need a name. I mean, on LinkedIn, it's just going to sound like a sentence. Okay, I'm talking with I need a name. It's going to sound like a sentence, or it's going to sound like just what it is. A funny notion. Oh, who are you talking? Who is our next client? I need a name. So it's but if your name sounds like I need a name, fine. It's there. I need a name. I'm really going to look for whoever bears that name. So that's just, it should be your legal name, Hassan Sani, whatever your name is. It should not be some social media made up names or some mixed up name. Like I see so many it's Mr. something on Facebook now. So this on LinkedIn, it should not be it's Mr. Hassan. No, it should be Hassan Sani. It should be, I know lots of my friends there lots of Facebook names I've seen recently is that's ITZ, Mr. something. And on LinkedIn, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do it's Mr. Hassan Sani. It's not professional. And that's what you're projecting. You're projecting your professional image to basically everybody that has to interact with you professionally. This is more like your office. So tagline. Now on LinkedIn, there's that tagline. Tagline also should talk about your tagline is usually a one-line description of you. It's a quick summary of who am I about to talk with. I have to go back to the fact that recruiters don't have that time to really scrutinize, okay, his name is Hassan Sani, why is he Hassan? No, they just want to see, oh, Hassan Sani, I'm talking to us. Now, this set is just to create the image, the personality feel between your prospective employer, community, between you and the person on your profile. Now, LinkedIn, I want to mention that you can use LinkedIn for so many things. You can also use LinkedIn to project a cause you believe in. It must not, your LinkedIn may not be for employment, which primarily that's what LinkedIn is for. But maybe you have other good interest or goals for your LinkedIn profile. Still, these points are important for you to have, even if it's not for employment. If it's for a cause you believe you want to promote on LinkedIn, this set of points I'm pointing out is still important, because if you are projecting on LinkedIn, you're projecting professionally to the person. So your tagline should quickly describe what your aims are. Like a previous speaker mentioned here that you should have a target aim on your career path. Say if you want to be a software developer in 5 years, your tagline, if you are a beginner, your tagline can say that a JavaScript developer with interest to be a software developer in the next 5 months. Now, your employer or whoever is interacting with knows I am interacting with somebody, because say I am looking for a junior developer and somebody that is ready to learn, somebody that is ready to work in the next 5 months. If your tagline says something like this, I know who I'm talking to already. He's already a candidate already, a prospective candidate I should talk with already. It should be someone I can do more with already, because this is who I'm looking for. Somebody that will be ready in 5 months, somebody I will train in 5 months and be part of my core team after 5 months. And you've said it in your tagline. Okay, let me read on, because already I have the interest. You know, the tagline should really define you. It should define you. A tagline should quickly define you. Now, to move on to current. Now, these points are arranged according to how the hierarchy way they are displayed on LinkedIn. So, and LinkedIn also use this to also identify how important some of the hierarchy of importance among the sets of that. So, current or recent working place. Now, current or recent, or should I say recently previous working place. If you work on your LinkedIn is you are going to add working places. Maybe you are a freelancer, or you are learning, you're in school, or you are doing a part-time job, or you're doing intern. It doesn't if it's what you are currently, add it there. LinkedIn gives you the chance to add working places, and I'm going to talk about that. Add the most recent relevant working place to your tagline, to your next line. Make sure it is what is showing. If it's where you are currently, make sure it is what is showing on your LinkedIn working place, because next, that's on the image there. That's what you have on the next picture. Now, again, I'm back to description. There's the tagline description. There's description. In this description, you can do a summary of you, a summary of your profile. I read somewhere that LinkedIn, when recruiters look at LinkedIn profile and they look at summary of profile, they want to, like I mentioned, recruiters don't have that time to go over every detail of your profile. They have 10,000 other candidates they want to work with, or they want to talk to. So they just want something. Believe me, your profile only get to spend at least 10 seconds. If it has to be after 10 seconds, that means this person is interested in you after 10 seconds. So you need to grab your community, your recruiter within that 10 seconds. After that 10 seconds, that just means he is interested in you, and that's why he's still reading. Believe me, some people spend 5 seconds on profile, even less. But after 10 seconds, if a recruiter is still reading your profile after 10 seconds, he is interested in you. Maybe some recruiters can spend 20 seconds, 1 minute to see a profile. Yes, but I'm giving you the average number that after 10 seconds, a recruiter is interested in you, and that's why that recruiter is still on your profile. Now, on the summary page, you should be able to give that catch to your recruiter, or whoever is viewing your profile. Be able to give that catch. Try to grab the person. Now, I saw some suggestions on. Okay, it's okay. So I saw some suggestion on profiles that with your definition on, you should be able to, your first tagline, your first line of summary should be something that grab your viewer in that first line. Like, oh, you can say I am a software developer, but I guess like that kind of something that gets your next thing. Now, list of previous job, like as mentioned also, if you have worked somewhere, you are a learner, you are intern, all those should be listed. Your LinkedIn will give you that space where you are. Make sure it is relevant working places that are in line with your intended job. If you want to be a software developer, make sure your previous jobs are talking about software developer, not painter. But if it has a connection with your skill set, then add it there. So I'll move on to now. Moving on to GitHub. on GitHub, GitHub has a more interesting way. GitHub doesn't have that, and people get to GitHub doesn't have that long issue of description and this. With profile picture on GitHub, fine, you can use a more different, because GitHub is more of where you showcase your actual skills now. So image, if you feel you want to use your image, which is also recommended, go on, but any other image can still work because your skills here is what matters. Your full name, you may want to use your legal name or any name that applies to you, but recommended again, legal name, recommended. But on GitHub, not like LinkedIn now, where you have to really talk. On GitHub, what matters here is your code and your skills. So I'm going to move quickly to that. Your tagline should be something that describes you again and what you're doing and how you interact with your description here. Still not really that much, but what matters here, the importance here now is the list of projects. GitHub gives you the chance to highlight, pin some projects you're working on, or some projects you've contributed to, some projects you've worked on. Now on GitHub, make sure you are pinning projects that talk about your skills. Projects that describe your future, your interest, and project that you actually contributed to, or project that you worked with, you work on. And it doesn't matter if it's something you use in learning, please put it there, because there are people that are looking for people who learn. So if it's something you build while you are learning, pin it there. If it's something you build with a friend and you have it as a contributor, pin it there. Now, to grow your GitHub skills, it's not about getting followers. GitHub give you that chance for followers, but GitHub is not like Twitter. GitHub is not about going followers. Try as much as possible to contribute to open source projects on GitHub. Why? Because it gets you to learn, it gets you to interact, to actually get the mentorship skills. Because I know I mentioned another skill, some previous speaker mentioned that you can't say, I want you to be my mentor, because somehow some people feel insecure or some people feel somehow. But in this case, believe me, on GitHub, there are people on GitHub who are willing to mentor you when you contribute to some certain open source. They are ready. I can mention for a fact that the ones I have worked with, I know that all of them, in fact, if not all, more than 90% of open source projects are ready to mentor you and how to contribute to their project. I know, and it will help you. It will grow your stars it will grow your whatever those bars are, because that shows how active you are on GitHub and shows your employer, okay, I'm talking to somebody that is active. Then it will grow your community. It will help you interact with people, and these people really interact with you and really put you through how to contribute and how to even use that project you're trying to contribute to, and how to really be, if it's maybe say TypeScript or Angular or JavaScript, whichever, or Node.js. Now, I'm going to talk about the two open source projects I have worked with, Angular or Node.js. They are really going to take you through, if it's your first time, they're really going to take you through how you do this. And it will help you, explore how you do some things you learn beyond what you expected. Seriously. And with Angular, with Node, I've seen where people take their time aside to, okay, let me teach you how you do this so that you can contribute. And these are people that are already contributing to that project. So try as much to contribute to open source project. If you see some, it will grow your skills, and you can now pin them to your own project, to your own profile. And that gives your community, your prospective employer, or your colleagues to see, okay, this is what this person is working on now, or this is how far this person has come in his career. And so far, so just that, with all this, you can have, okay, now with the one thing I didn't mention, is that on LinkedIn and on GitHub, you have that quick way of assigning a URL. Make sure you're using a URL you can remember, so that when you're sharing your link with if you are to share a link, you can quickly type this slash, that's your username. So in my own case now, this is where you can use that funny name, that interesting name. In my case, I need a name, right? For my LinkedIn, for all my social media links. Which, by the way, if you have any question or any suggestion on this talk, you can reach me on Twitter, GitHub, LinkedIn, GitLab, Facebook with I need a name. So if you have any question, you can reach me there. And that's basically the summary of what my talk is about. I believe I've been. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan Sani. That was a session. And I hope everybody listening, you've actually gained new stuffs. Because as I mentioned before, when it comes to LinkedIn and GitHub, as a developer, as a tech enthusiast, those two platforms cannot be overemphasized, because most times, even most employers, the first thing they actually go to and check about you is your LinkedIn profile and your GitHub profile. There are several ways people, employers get developers, or employers employ technicians. They will just go to your GitHub and see what have you contributed to, how many repos, how many projects you have. So with that alone, it skips a lot of interview. With that alone, they already know what you're up to, what you've been up to, and because GitHub actually shows your contributions, daily contributions. You're contributing daily. It shows your chat and everything. So it tells a lot about you as a developer. So without wasting much time, I will introduce the next person. Our next speaker is from India, and by name Mr. Santosh. He's a Google developer expert, and is also an Angular expert, Angular web technologies. Okay. I also met him on Facebook. You can see the importance of community. All the speakers we have today wouldn't have been possible without a community. The speakers, everyone that spoke to us today, they are all active community members, and they are doing great things for the community. So without wasting much time, let me bring in Mr. Santosh. He's joining us all the way from India. Mr. Santosh, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Santosh. Santosh, can you hear me? Please check your account to unmute yourself. I actually unmute you. Confirm your from there that your account, your profile is unmuted.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm unmuted now. So I was on mute.
All right.
Okay, so let me just share my screen. Just a second, guys. Okay, so can you see my screen now? Everyone?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, cool. So first of all, thanks for having me here. So I'll be talking about the importance of communities in building a successful tech career, and I won't be giving you much of slides, but I'll be giving you a story. So I love creating a story out of everything. So here also I'll be representing two stories basically. But before that, before we go ahead and see those stories, I would like to introduce myself. So my name is Santosh Yadav, and I'm from India, Pune, and I'm a Google developer expert for Angular and web technologies. So you can see I'm already part of the Angular community, and then I also write for Angular in depth. Now we have moved on to indepth.dev, which is our new publication, and I'm also an open source contributor for Angular and GRX, and I have few of my own open source projects. And I'm also a mentor for .NET Tricks, which is an education-based company in India. In case you want to connect with me on social media, this is my Twitter handle, Santosh Yadav Dev. Then I'm also available on GitHub. You can follow my profile there. In case you are on LinkedIn, as Hassan is, so you can always send me a request. We can get connected on LinkedIn as well. And last not the least, but I have my own portfolio, which is pretty old, but you can still go ahead and find some useful information about me. So to start with, first, this is the topic I really love. I love to talk about community. So what I will do is I will just start with a quote. So the quote is, if you give 10% to the community, you get 10x in return. This is something which I have personally experienced, and it is written by some anonymous guy. So I don't want to name him right now. But as I said, I'll not give you much of the slides, but I'll be talking about a few stories. So there is first story where there is a developer who worked in a startup. So the advantage of working in a startup is you get to work on a lot of things, because in startup, the first thing is you have limited number of resources, limited number of fundings. And if you start working in from the start in a startup, you get a lot of opportunities to learn and improve yourself, not your programming skills, but also your interpersonal skills, your management skills, a lot of things. So this guy, he actually worked in a startup for 5 years. So it was long time. He learned a lot. He learned a lot of things. His career improved, or you can say his career just went up in 5 years, but that's what he thought. So he got good raise every year. So he was like very happy that I'm getting a good raise. I'm getting to work what I want to do. I'm getting to interact with multiple teams across my organization, and he was quite happy. And he used to think that he's the best developer in the world. So he thought he's this guy, he's pretty successful, and he don't need any help from anyone else inside the tech community. He thought, okay, he has achieved everything. Now if he goes outside for a job, he will be like treated as a god, and he will be like taken inside any organization. This is what he used to think, because of course this is what he has been doing in that organization for 5 years. But after 5 years, he thought, let's look for another opportunities. Let's try to change the career and see what I have been doing was correct. He used to think that he knows everything in tech, because the tech stack in his organization, he knew everything. He knew what works from start of the project to the end of the project. So he thought he knows everything, right? But once he went for the interviews, he started getting rejected from one interview to another. And the thing was, he was not updated from the community. So let's see what was wrong, but why he started getting rejected from the interviews. So he realized that he was working for his organization. So he was aware of only the tech stack which is used inside his organization. His organization never changed his stack. They were like still working on the technologies which was pretty old by the time he decided to leave the organization. He used to think, okay, he knows everything, but once he went for the interview, he was like, okay, what's this? What's new? This is new. This is something new. And the second thing which he never did is he never invested in improving his skills apart from his work. So he always learned a technology which is used inside his organization. For example, he learned SSIS, SSMS because it was used in an organization. But once he went outside, he was like, okay, this is something which I am not going to use anymore. So what he did is actually he wasted his time learning a stack which was not going to be used or not helpful in his career at all. He never got involved with the community. So that was the biggest mistake he made. The advantage of getting involved with the community we'll see soon. So, but after a lot of struggle, he finally got a job. He has to compromise. Of course, once you don't get what you deserve or what you want, you just go ahead and compromise, right? So finally he compromised. He joined one organization, and he was like still disappointed that he was not able to actually get a job which he likes. So this is the story of one first guy. In story two, we will see the similar story, but in a different way. So this guy, he's not from the programming. He was not from the CS background, so he was not aware of the programming. But what he did is he started a startup. So his startup was related to data, and during his startup, he also learned a little bit of programming, because of course he had hired few guys, but he was like paying them from his own pocket. So just to save some money, he started writing programs as well. Then his startup closed. So after a lot of frustration, he decided to his startup was not going anywhere. So then he said, okay, let's give up. Let's dump this startup and do something else, because he had already learned programming. Now he started his own career into tech. So he lived in Ukraine, and he was like working for 3 years in tech, but he was not able to get a good paying job. His salary was too below that he couldn't afford to live a life he wanted to. So he was disappointed with his career, which was not going anywhere. He was like working for 3 years in an organization where he was not getting a good raise, he was not getting a good salary, and he was not happy with his job, right? The tech stack he used to work on. So after 3 years, he said, okay, let's leave the IT industry now, because he was not a tech guy anyways, right? He learned programming because he wanted to support his startup. And after 3 years, he said, okay, now it's enough. I think I cannot survive in this industry. So let's leave. But something happened. By the time he decided to leave, a new framework called Angular got released. He said, let's give it a last chance. I will improve my skills in Angular, and I will try to turn my career. So this is what he did. So he started answering Stack Overflow questions daily. So during this time, he used to sleep 5 hours a day. So you can see how much compromise he already made. So he started answering all the questions on Stack Overflow. He also did one more thing, because the Angular framework was new. He started reading the source code. So he actually used to read entire source code in during his work hours or whenever he was free. And then he used to go to Stack Overflow and he used to write the answers. But while writing those answers, he thought of another idea. He said, if I am able to answer all the questions on Stack Overflow, why not to write a blog post? So he started writing a blog post. So he published his first blog post, and this was the response. So in 30 days, his blog was viewed only 114 times, and there were only 44 reads, and he had 5 fans. So, but this time, he just don't wanted to give up. He was like, now I have something to prove to the community that I can do it. And this is what he focused more. So what he did is, as the Angular framework was new, he started his own publication. So he started his own publication for Angular. So he started writing on his own publication. He started tweeting those blogs on Twitter, as well as he started adding those blog posts on Stack Overflow. So suddenly he saw some increase in the number of views and the number of fans he got, and number of course, number of reads as well. By seeing the popularity of this publication, many experts joined his publication. So many experts from the Angular community who actually were already active on Stack Overflow or Twitter or some other blog post, or they were writing on Medium, they joined his publication as writer. And this is what happened within a year. So his blog post or his publication became so popular that it's the number one publication for Angular as of now. So you can see it reached more than 2.5 million views within a year. So that's a huge improvement. If you see the first blog post which he published had only 114 views. So now he thought, okay, now I have done a lot of things. A lot of people are writing for me. Then something great happened. So he became Google Developer Expert for Angular and also became Microsoft Valued Professional. So he got nominated for both, and he actually deserved it because he had already invested so much of time helping the community, right? So, and it never stops. Once you start doing something for community, you will always get something in your kitty, right? So you will always be what you can say is given new opportunities by the community. So he got an opportunity to speak at the biggest Angular conference, which happens in US. It's called ngconf, which has like millions of people watching you on YouTube Live, and 1,500 developers actually attend Angular conference at the ngconf, which happens in this time it was virtual, but it will happen again in 2021. So he got the opportunity to present himself on the biggest stage of the Angular. But what about money? So we spoke about all the his activities on Stack Overflow, his activities writing blog post. He actually actually slept for like 5 hours a day. So he already compromised a lot. But what about money? So he actually got a job opportunity for HGrid. So he started working for HGrid as a developer advocate. And of course, if you work for HGrid, this is one of the biggest company for data grid, and they pay really well. So now his actually entire career, he thought of giving 3 years ago. In 2 years, he actually got a job at HGrid by doing what he loved, by doing what? Just helping the community, right? So he started answering a Stack Overflow, writing blog posts, helping developers. He started speaking at conferences. He became GD, became MVP, and finally got a job he wanted to, because at HGrid he was getting paid really well. But who's this guy? So I'll just give you an idea. So he's founder for Angular in Depth. So this is the community. This is the publication I was talking about. Now it's converted to indepth.dev. So he's the founder. He's top 0.17% on Stack Overflow. So he has been active on Stack Overflow from like 2016, and he has already helped a lot of developers. He now works for Narwhal IO. So it's an Angular consultancy, which is based in US again. So he works for Narwhal IO and as well as I think HGrid as well. So he works for both, as well as he is the founder for Angular in Depth. He has more than 1 million views on in Depth. So, and more than 10K followers. He's also winner of Ukrainian IT Awards 2019 in the IT education. So his name is Max Koretsky, aka Wizard. So people call him Wizard because of the skills he possesses, because he has the ability to go ahead and read the entire source code of Angular, React, and he's able to actually deep dive into that code and help the developers. So there are many good videos or good talks you will find from him, which is really in depth. So this is how, just from the giving up and starting to help the community, this is where he reached. So now he's like he don't care about money. So he has already achieved so much that he can actually get a job anywhere else. So this is the story 2 of Max Koretsky, aka Wizard. So you can reach out to him on Twitter. He's pretty active on Twitter as well. Otherwise, you can just follow him on indepth.dev or Angular in Depth. He keeps writing, but yeah. So his blog posts are really in depth. But what happened to the dev from the story 1? What he did? So that guy realized, okay, he has been doing something wrong with his career. So he started contributing to open source in 2019. Then he moved into top 100 contributors for Angular, and also top 10 contributor for NGRX. And Angular is one of the framework which already I think Hassan talked about. And NGRX is another framework which is extension for, you can say, reactive extension for Angular. So he also became the top 10 contributor for NGRX. He joined the same team with Max Koretsky. So he joined in depth as writer. And in a year, he published more than 8 blog posts. And his blog post was actually viewed by 250K developers in a year, which had almost 90K reads. He also spoke at first ever Angular conference in Sri Lanka. So that's, I think Dhanushka knows who this guy is, because Dhanushka was one of the member of NG Sri Lanka. Then he also became Google Developer Expert for Angular and Web Technologies. This is all within a year, because he just realized that he was doing something wrong and he started contributing to open source. He started getting closer to the community. And after that, he started creating and managing his own open source project. So he realized, okay, now I think open source is something he loves. So he started doing that. And once he did that, you can see the opportunity to speak at conferences already came, right? He already spoke at NG Sri Lanka. Then this year, he also spoke at India's biggest conference, India's biggest Angular conference, which is known as NG India. So this is what he achieved in a year by just being part of the community, by just contributing to the community. But what about job search this time? Last time he had to struggle a lot. So this time he actually never went for an interview. So he just got the job opportunity by networking and the community. So he was already doing a lot of work for the community, and a few community members reached out to him that if he is looking for a job, and what he just needed to say is, yes, I am looking for a job, and he just got a job. That's it. So this is how a guy who was like 5 years, he worked for 5 years in a startup. He did everything for a startup, but once he went for a job interview, he got rejected from everywhere. But once he started working for the community and with the community, he actually never have to leave his house, even his house, to for an interview. He just got selected, and he already had a job offer. But what we learned from these two stories, right? So the first thing which they did is they started working for the community rather than themselves. The first guy who worked for a startup did the same mistake, right? He worked for his organization, but never worked for community. So keep yourself above the community and you can achieve everything. They started improving their skills while helping others. So if you see what you do in open source is, right, there are a lot of issues in a project, and you are trying to solve those issues. By solving that issue, you are already helping millions of developers who are relying on that particular framework. For example, Angular. So if Angular has some issues and you are going ahead and solving that issue, millions of developers are already using Angular. So you have already impacted millions of developers by just raising a single PR. Writing blog posts help them improve their knowledge. So once you know how to do stuff, you can actually go ahead and write about it, how to do it, how you can actually utilize some APIs and create something your own. So that is something which comes from writing blog posts, right? And the most important thing is helping community made them stand out from the crowd. So everyone from the community knows those guys. So if you talk about Max Koretsky in Angular community, everyone knows him. If you talk about any other guy from Angular community, for example, if I give you an example of, let's say, Dhananjay Kumar from India, everyone from the community knows him. So they are standing outside, like they can be identified in a crowd with because of the community work they have already done, right? But the biggest question is how to get involved with the community, right? So this is the biggest question every developer has. So there are multiple ways. As Max did, he started with Stack Overflow. He started answering all the questions on Stack Overflow. A lot of millions of developers need help. You can just go ahead and answer the questions on Stack Overflow and help them. You can also write blog posts. So if you know something, share it, right? If you share it, you are improving your knowledge, as well as you are helping someone improve their own knowledge. So go ahead and write blog posts. Open source is, of course, if you are good at writing code, go ahead and help some open source projects. It can be a small project. It can be a big project like Angular. It can be a smaller project which is used by thousands of people, or a library which is used by like millions of people. Every open source project requires contributors. Remember, every open source project doesn't make money, even though they have something known as sponsorship, but not everyone is making money in open source world. So what you can go ahead and do is you can just go ahead and help them improve their documentation, help them improve their code. For example, if I talk about Angular, right, or any library which is dependent on Angular keeps releasing a new functionality every 6 months. So if there is a library which is dependent on Angular, you can just go ahead and help that library owner to update their Angular version, right? So this is how you can just get started with open source project. Or if you think if the project lacks documentation, so I started my own contribution journey in Angular with documentation. So I went to the Angular repo and Angular website, the documentation website, and realized there are few things which are not correct. So I helped them, or I helped myself, I would say, rather than helping Angular. I actually helped myself to improve my knowledge as well as by helping millions of developers worldwide. So I started writing documentation for Angular, and then I realized, okay, now I know a lot of stuff, so let's start our own projects. So I started creating my own open source projects. I also started contributing to NGRX. So this is how you can also improve. Meetups. So there are a lot of meetups which runs around the world. So you can just go ahead and attend a meetup. You can also reach out to the meetup, whoever the guys are who is running the meetup. You can also speak to them if they need any speakers, and if you have any good contents to deliver, you can go ahead and do that. So this is another way. If you are a student, there are a lot of opportunities. You have GDG, which is Google Developer Group, which is across the world. You have developer student clubs in every country. You have Microsoft Student Partner, which is in every country now. And then there is something known as GitHub sponsors, right? I think, yeah, GitHub developer club, something like that. So you also have this. You can go ahead and join any of the clubs. They give you credits in terms of, if I talk about developer student clubs, you can get credits to play with the Google Cloud. Microsoft Student Partners gives you a lot of credits to play with Azure. They give you access to their own services. Similarly, if you go to GitHub, GitHub gives you a lot of credits to play with the GitHub Actions. You can go ahead and utilize them if you're a student. Start creating your own content. If you think you are good at creating content, you can start creating your videos. You post it on YouTube or post it on any other channel where you want to share the knowledge. So that's again one of the ways to actually be part of community. So let's see the summary, what these guys did, or what we can go ahead and do to be part of community and help yourself to stand out of the crowd, right? So start working with the community, get involved early. So if you want to get involved early, if you are a student, go ahead and join one of the student club which I mentioned. If you are not a student, you can still go ahead and use join GDG, or there is this Facebook developers clubs as well, right? So you can also join them to improve your knowledge. Writing blog post helps. So it helps to improve your own knowledge as well as helping the other devs across the world. Create online content such as blogs, videos to reach wide audience, and start posting them. Don't be scared that you are going to spam anyone. Just start posting them on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Of course, it will help someone, right? So it's not like all the contents are bad. If you think you have written it from your own heart, or if you have written, you have invested a lot of time writing that blog post, if it's not copied, then of course it will be helpful to someone. So start posting it as well. The most important thing, it's okay to fail sometime. The failure teaches the most important lesson. So as you can see, the story number 2 of Max Koretsky, he failed earlier, right? But he realized that, okay, the failure happens, but I can go ahead and improve myself by being part of the community. So that's possible. So, but still, what happened to the dev from story 1, right? So where is he right now? So anyone who is interested to know where is this guy, I'll wait for the answers on Zoom. If you're interested, I will tell you. Otherwise, I will just end my session. No one is interested? Okay.
Okay, we are going to actually leave the question to the last session, so that
Yeah,
we
I'll finish. Yeah, I'll finish. Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, I'll finish. Yeah. So the dev from story 1 he's giving this talk right now. So I am this guy, so who struggled at earlier phase of his career. Now he is like he is contributing to the community, and he never have to actually give any interview now. So this is it from my side. Thank you for having me. And in case you are interested, you can still go ahead and connect with me on social medias. My Twitter handle and everything is available here. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Santosh.
Yeah.
An honor having you on this platform. Okay. Of course, he has done much introduction by himself, and I think one of the first one of the levels I admire about him, Google developer expert. If you know what that is, you would actually want, it's a place you would aim to get to, because I read about
Of course, he has
Google
done
expert.
much introduction.
I read that there are like, I think, just above 700 Google developer experts around the world. I don't know if I'm wrong, but that's what based on my research, about 700 and something Google developer experts. And so it's an honor having you here to share your story and let us know the importance of community in the tech career. So you can't do it alone. You just have to collaborate. You just have to work with people. And that's what so many tech communities about. That's what Hello World Up is about. That's what developer students clubs about. That's what GDG is about. You can see so many communities. That's what Facebook Developer Cycle. So many communities there for you to actually connect and achieve your goals, because there's one power in collaborating, and that's what makes solutions come out faster, because we all think differently. So contribution from several people actually could go a long way than you just standing alone. You might be the expert, you might be everything you want to be, but if you are not part of a community, then your growth level might be very slow. And so now, without wasting much time, I'll be introducing our final speaker, and she's Jonah. She's UI UX designer, product designer, and it's also um, a volunteer at Andela for Andela Learners Community. I believe most of you, if you've been part of the ALC program, been part of the there are several programs she has been part of, and if you actually partake in those programs, you would actually know her. So without further ado, she's coming in. So I'll be introducing her and bringing her in now. So your mic is unmuted, so you can join now.
Hi.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So I want to thank you for this opportunity you've given to me to be here today to share with you my story too. And though it hasn't been easy, but at least we just find a way once in a while to make it through. So I'm Jonah, a UI UX designer, as you rightly said, and also an ALC volunteer. That's all for now I could give. So I'll be sharing with you my progress in tech career as a woman in tech, how I've been able to survive, how I came from, and I'm not saying nothing, but how I came from my journey, where I started from and where I am now. So my career progress as a woman in tech. You must have been hearing so many things about how a woman is a weaker vessel, how was she able to manage herself, how was she able to stand out in the society. Well, here's my story. I just hope you get inspired by it. And some of the facts you already know. We have little or no knowledge of the tech industry's skill demand, which is true. We just want to start a skill and start making money. Then we are in a rush to start making money. This, if you haven't really sat down, done your research, your homework, you end up getting it not right. this is for those of us that, okay, we saw our neighbor doing some kind of gig or some kind of skill, having some kind of skill, and we just want to jump right into it, but not knowing that there's so many things that should have been done and that should have taken place before we try to imitate or try to get a skill. And so we look for the next hoop to explore, not minding if we still end up in that same loop. This is like a loop. It goes in a cycle. You don't, for you to get out, you need to be smart enough. So this is my career path. Back then in my college year, before my first degree, I would say I didn't have much. I didn't. He could either I work for a big time firm or as a typist or open my startup, but I didn't have a clue. But this was the fact that based on our curriculum in school, so as many of us, we know what having our curriculum was like: theory, not much of practical. The little practical we have isn't really related to what could build us up. And of course, we just had to read, and pass our exams. Well, then I could remember in my 200 level, a colleague of mine who knew a lot about this tech thing, he brought up an idea that we should come together and have a startup. To me, all this was just like, hey, I could come out with this. Yeah, I just wanted to be in a happening big thing right now. And I didn't mind if my grades in school at that time would suffer. I didn't mind. I just wanted to be in that gang. Well, of course, I started learning how to develop, program using HTML, CSS, web development, of course. Everything to me was just so strange. My head was just turning on its own because I wasn't getting the principle, the lay down foundation. I wasn't getting it. All my goal, my target was learn this and start making money. But before long, I quit because if I wasn't getting the money, then I shouldn't be writing the code. Because I didn't understand what I was doing at that moment. I'm very sure most of you can relate to this. Then I was in my 400 level, and fortunately, I was able to own a laptop. And during my student industrial training, so it was by force. I had to, you know how we do these things, make it part of our compulsory textbooks. So my dad could afford one for me. But most of the time, when I'm on my laptop, my mom or people sitting around me would be like, hey, you're always on this laptop. What are you doing? It's either you're watching movie or I don't know, but I don't know how they knew this. Also, they'll be like, you should be thinking of how to graduate and get married. I know most of us can relate to this. So, not forgetting that my brother that owned his own laptop too was always there on his laptop. But all this came about just because I am a woman. So the difference was so clear. And during my industrial training, I ventured into networking, precisely Cisco and CCNA. Well, I had a rough go but this was not what I wanted. It was interesting, but not what I wanted. It wasn't leading me to my career. It wasn't giving me that feel that I'm working on this and I'm enjoying what I am doing. So, and time was of the essence for me because I was supposed to think of projects different. Well, while sitting down there waiting for magic to happen, I had an encounter. Yeah, and where was this turnaround? The question. Well, at that time, the Hotels.ng 2.0 internship was just beginning to start. I had to register to be an intern because it seems that was what was happening at that time. Scholarship, internship. So For everybody in that internship, it was more like they knew what they were doing, they knew where they belonged. Except me, I was just overing and overing until projects started coming in, and I just had to belong to a team. So I went to the design team. Well, I started creating, you know how we do it. Logged on, used Figma for the first time and started putting some element symbols lines together. Well, you could call that design, but you're not wrong. Along the way, we got to the part where we're downsized from stage to stage. And of the 10 people who made it to the private project, I was one of the 2 ladies. Well, man, and this was just a mentally boost to my career. You would understand, but having to start a journey and being acknowledged at the end, and not many of your kind are represented there. That was a boost to me. And it seemed at least my life was getting somewhere. Yeah, I got some commendable comments for my design. I got to know about the tech communities, attended from the Start Innovation Hub here in Uyo. They host most of meetups. I met individuals learning to code and those who just got into this tech world, those who call themselves full stack and the other kind of stack, but we are all learning. And then came my final year project. My only challenge was that my project supervisor was into networking and hardware, something I ran away from previously. He didn't want any stress in learning new technology. He just wanted everything to go normal like it used to be. But for me, I feel he hasn't met me yet. That was why he thought so. I had to give him my terms, and this is what I would love to do. And to God be the glory, it made it easier for me. He accepted my topic, and I started. So I met an amazing mentor, a teacher who taught me how to build mobile app, Android mobile app. And because I wanted to build a campus mobile voting system for Android, if you look at it now, coding was not all that bad after all. I mean, I could have seen it back in my year 2 as hard, but now it was more simplified because I had a mentor and he was ready to guide me through my career path. So on the day of my defense, I think I wowed them because out of 3 people that were acknowledged and praised for such great topic and presentation, I was the only lady among them. This again was just a groundbreaking moment for me. This tech thing could just have, like, my career was forming in a way I didn't know. I didn't have an idea, but my career was just brewing. So I thought. Then the next big thing, okay, this is what changed the game for me during my career. I became more prominent on social medias. Any achievement, any course I completed online, I make sure I post them on social media. So to get more connect with people that have similar interests as I am. But little did I know that I was being watched. I was being followed too, but of course in a good way. I didn't know I had eyes watching me. Oh, this is what I do. Wow, it's commendable. In 2018, I got recommended by a friend to join the Android learning community as a program assistant. In the Android community, we have the mentors, we have the facilitators, we have the program assistants. It didn't just recommend to be a mentor or a facilitator, but a program assistant. That was huge. Like, wow, who could have imagined? And in this community, we have over 120,000 developers. How on earth are you able to manage these developers? These are developers who maybe beginner, they're intermediate, they're advanced, but you are just upcoming. This was like a dream. recommendation is not just come cheap, and it is what it is now, but it could only be hard work and God. But still, is surprising to me. But now my folks, when they see me on my laptop, my system, they just come and ask me, "Hey, are you okay there? Do you need water?" It's interesting, right? Yeah. Who could have thought? So we, like I said earlier, we are no weaker vessels here. Here, I mean, in this tech industry, we are no weaker vessels. We are stronger than we think we are. Of course, I had holdbacks, I had setbacks, I entered into different loops. I chose to stay and complete what I started. But at the end, no, I wouldn't want this to be like the end. But for me here, I just began conquering the world. So I never forgot the fact that I was a woman. The struggle, the hustle out there in the tech industry, it is real. I repeat, it is real. But it is not for you to be in competition with anybody. I grew at my own pace. I wasn't competing with anybody, but I love proving points. I love proving point that, yeah, I can do this. Wherever I stand, wherever I find myself, I can do what you do. So I proved that point. Yeah. And the things that helped me grow, come on, the developer communities. Then I joined the Women Tech Makers. The Women Tech Makers helped me a lot. The Figma group, yes, it really helped me a lot in growing. I knew that I was finally belonging to somewhere and people who I can hold accountable. Of course, I met the right mentors that would want to, okay, lay down efforts just for you to grow. They give you the right information, the right knowledge. You are being guided, what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it. You know that you're being responsible, you're becoming responsible as the day goes by. And practice. I practice everything I learned day by day. If you're into programming, you'll notice that when you start a particular skill and you leave that skill for a period of 2 to 3 months, when you come back to it, it will seem like it was new. You won't have the hang of it again unless you go back and start relearning. So this practice, as they say, makes perfect. It's not just a cliche, but it is real. You have to practice every day, put your stuff out there, and voila, you are on your way to making a success story. And yay, some of us would have had it rough. Well, not all that rough for me. Yet, like me, you must have, okay, had some kind of help and, some kind of guide. And some of us had a smooth sail, like everything was just going as planned. But it doesn't stop us from having a good career. We could also still fail in our careers, and we could also still grow in our careers. So if you want advice on how to scale through your skill or your career, you have to connect. Hold yourself accountable. Be responsible for what you learn. Be responsible for what you are feeding your intellectual with. You have to meet other local developers, designers, the digital marketers. What have you in technologies, that people that are interested in technologies like yourself, people that have that same zeal, that same passion that you have, people that are vibrant, they want to work, people that are interested in your growth. Attend meetups. You meet those kind of persons. Get mentorship. Don't be shy to ask for help. Don't be shy to send an email to someone that you've admired, someone that can be a mentor to you. Don't be shy or don't be reluctant to ask for help. This will go a long way. This is what I did. Learn about the skill you want on a wider range. Read on every article that contains that particular skill. Do not neglect that skill because there's always something new to ponder on. Go to blogs, read, learn. Then just don't learn like that. Set goals, set targets that you have to meet maybe at the end of the week, at the end of the month, or half a year. Set goals, targets that, okay, when you get to this target, I have been able to accomplish this. And you just see yourself smiling and you see yourself growing. You watch yourself even growing and you be like, is this me? Apply your new learnings and connections to build greater products. Once you're comfortable, you can then advance your skills and network. From JavaScript, you can go to the frameworks. From designing, you can become a product designer, you can become a product manager. This way you grow and nothing can really stop you. You get recommendation. I know recommendation do not come cheap. I'm telling you this, they do not come cheap. But when you dot your I's and cross your T's, do your assignments, do what you have to do, my dear, you just get recommendation from nowhere. You won't even be aware of who recommended you, but you just get, remember I said there were eyes and people watching me while I was doing my thing. I did not know. I had no idea until I got recommended. Well, you have to give back to the community by helping others. Let's say you've learned a particular skill, someone needs your help. You don't even have to wait for the person to ask you. All you need to do is go out there, post something like Santosh has rightly said, post something, let someone see that, okay, this article, this was what helped you becoming who you are now. Let someone see and get inspired and want to do more. Don't hoard or don't hide your skill. Don't hide it because you feel you went a long way as paying for learning the skill. No, this is a community. Anything can be gotten, but at what price are you giving yours? My focus was on the women who are shy to take a call, because this call is for all of us as women to consider a career in tech. There are vast opportunities out there. I don't know if you had filled forms, application forms, you would see that in a place they say women are highly recommended. Do not ignore that part because it is true. We want more women to come. We want more women to come on board. It is not just the men alone. Like I said, we are not in competition with these men, but we are here to make a difference. We want to see our names at the top level. We want to go places. Don't just sit at your comfort of your home and think something or a miracle would happen. No, it is not going to happen until you take a step. Like someone said, the step between, or let's say the period duration between you now and where you want to be is your action. So if you start taking action right now, I'm telling you, your steps will count. Each and every part of your journey will count. And you, come on, you're on your way to making a difference. But ladies, I survived all this. Like I am a woman. I am a woman. I survived all of this and I have made a worthy tech career for myself. Why can't you? Of course you can. You too can. It is not news. You too can. So always believe that you have something to offer. Always believe you are, of course you do have something to offer, but always believe that you, in every situation, you would have something to give or to offer. Just always have that in mind. And of course, everything will just go as planned, as smooth as you want. I think. And thank you for having me once more. I am highly, I'm highly privileged to sharing my success stories and career progress with you all. Thank you very much. Please, if you have any questions, please don't fail to reach out to me. I am always available. Always. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jonah. And I was really inspired. Though everybody that knows me knows I'm very much an advocate for women in tech. I so much love women participating in tech, and I love the increase, the rate at which women are actually diving into tech, and it's very sweet actually, because there's this, just for instance, if there's this difference between a female driver and a male driver. Most times we see, if you notice a female driver, there's this unique style that you just feel when a female is driving, and so it is in tech. And I would encourage as much as many women watching this to be inspired and get on with that goal, with that dream. Everything tech doesn't have to relate to coding. You can see MMZ, UI UX designer, which is a little bit more or less of coding. And there are several aspects, product managers and all that. Even the developers themselves, you have so many women in the coding aspect also doing great. So don't be afraid, don't be timid to go into those parts that tag men domain. Just break forth and just be whatever you want to be and you dream to be. All right. So she was our last speaker, and I know by now everyone that's been watching, either on YouTube or here on Zoom, has been impacted, been inspired. So right now we'll be going to the quiz section. There will be time for question actually. We're going to give 1 or 2, 3 people, because of time. We're going to give 3, 4 people opportunity to ask their questions. So once the time of question comes, there are several ways you could actually submit your questions from now. You can drop it on the Zoom chat room with a tag question, so that the admin will actually notice a question. Or also, I will also give up opportunity to people to actually talk. So I would give the opportunity to talk, and you raise up your hand. You signify by raising up your hand, so that I will know you want to ask a question, so that I can unmute you. So without wasting much time, let's just go through straight to the. So for the hackathon, guys, before you share your screen, let me display the hackathon. I want to announce the hackathon. So please, before you display your screen, let me go back to the hackathon. All right, thank you. So the hackathon goes this way. I want to show you something. Okay. So you're going to, the hackathon is very short, the form validation, which most of us have been used to. So just create, the CSS doesn't matter, just create a simple form like this. Now, the rules of the form is that you have to enter a name. You have to enter your name, probably any name you want to use. Then for the email, there's a validation. So for example, let me enter my name, Ayodeji. Yes, Ayodeji. Then the email validation must be, email validation, user at helloworldup.com. So this is the email. Probably is more like, okay, you are signing into a company account. They're giving a specific email to sign in with, and you have your name, but the email is a pass. So it's a very simple one. So you can just code it. And the preferred programming language is JavaScript, so that you'll be able to present your code with CodePen. Present your work with CodePen, so that we can actually test it and run it and see if it actually works. Because if I give any other thing apart from this stuff, it will give me error. Okay, incorrect email. But if I take it as this. Welcome to Hello World. So that's basically the hackathon. So all the guys involved in hackathon can get straight to it. Submit your code on CodePen, and the first best answer gets our prize. It's a token, but to do something. So the first best answer gets our prize. As I said, we are not bothered about the CSS. Just give us a code that works, and we would accept that. All right. So for the question, you can please go on now. For the quiz part, you can go on now. There's also a prize for the quiz part, so just stick around. And also, there will be a question and answer session after the quiz, so just stay around. That question and answer session will be the last session of this webinar. So just stick around. We'll end soon. Thank you. So the quiz can come up now, please.
Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. We've gotten to the quiz section. I'll pop up the question, then the first person to answer, just drop the answer at the chat box. Then the first person to answer, like you said, will be given the prize. Well, I'm going to pop up 2 questions, so you have 2 chances. If you miss the first one, you can try the second one. So here goes the first question. So it says, which of the following does a client does most? Send a request, B, make a request. My co-host we work on checking the first person to answer the question. So okay. So I can see
let's have a second question, please, so that save time.
For me, the first person to answer, to give the correct answer, not just any answer. Are you still hearing me? Hello, everyone. In 10 seconds, I'll take away the first question. I'll move to the second one. So they'll stop checking for the first question. So now I'll move to the second question. If you miss the first one, you have opportunity to answer this next one. And it says, native app is an application that is designed, A, to be compatible on both iOS and Android, B, specifically for iPhone, C, specifically for a certain mobile operating system such as iOS or Android, then D, used to send response to clients. Ten more seconds. Comments are coming. Okay, time up. This brings an end to the quiz section. The moderator will announce the winner for the first question and the second question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much. So without wasting time, move right to the question and answer session. So before we get there, I would like to tell you how it goes. So I'll be given opportunity to 2 people or 3 people to actually ask question by audio. That means I'll allow you to speak. Then also there'll also be other formats of submitting questions. You can drop your questions on the chat box with hashtag question. That's the Zoom chat box. If you're on YouTube, drop with hashtag question. We'll get to you. Then also to also connect with the speakers, you can ask on Twitter at then you tag the speaker you want to ask specifically, sorry. Then with the hashtag hello world up, so that we can also follow it up. So hashtag hello world up, then you tag the speaker you want to ask. I believe you've seen all their handles already. So, but if you don't know their handle, you just go back to the our Twitter page. You see all the posts we're making. So you see their handles. Then you can also check all our speakers. We are following all our speakers on Twitter, so you can check our people we are following. You can see their handle from there to tag them directly. So if you have a question for Santos, you have a question for Danuska, you have a question for MM, you have a question for Mr. Anamdi. So just do that right away. So let me give opportunity to people to actually ask questions. So if you have a question, so just raise up your hand, signify. So I'm talking to people on Zoom now. If you have a question, so just raise up your hand. There's a button there you can click to raise up your hand. Then I'll be unmuting all the speakers so that you can have them answer your question. No question? I'm not seeing any hands. No question. All right, without wasting much time, let's go ahead. So I'll be calling on Uzo to that. There were some questions. Okay, I'm seeing some questions already. Okay. I'm seeing some people raising up their hand. So let me get to that. So I have Zalihat, sorry. Okay, let me unmute you. So you are on. You're on, Zalihat. Zalihat, you're on. You're on. Okay, let's move to the next. Okay, probably a network.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Zalihat. All right. Let's hear from Olayinka.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes. Please, I just have a question to ask on open source.
Okay.
So the question I have is that if I create an application.
Do you have a speaker you want to direct that question to?
Yeah?
Do you have a specific speaker you want to direct that question to?
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
It's just general. It's something anyone can answer.
Okay, I actually omitted Mr. Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay, what answer is that? Can I stop someone from using my application or the program after I have developed it?
Stop. I think
as in, I go to the program or the software, and I want it to, I don't want it to be hacked by maybe bad people or so. Can I stop them from using it?
Okay, I think I'll allow the speakers to come in this aspect.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
If I get your question correctly, let's say you build a software and you want somebody's using it without a permission. Is there a way you can stop the person?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, is that what you mean?
Yes.
All right. So this is one of the things you have to consider when working with building a solution. You have to first understand that it's either it's a proprietary software or open source. Proprietary in the sense that you decide whether to make it public, or anybody who wants to get to know whether this software can do this or do that can actually come to you, and you will have a discussion. And if you decide to give the person access to that source code, or what we call a blueprint, then there'll have to be some specific documents or specific agreements people will have to reach. But when you don't specify some of these things, even if somebody steals your software and there is no reason to point back to the fact that it was either proprietary or an open source software, most times it's kind of very difficult, because before you even use the software, there's always a license. Okay. Now that license states how the software can be used, whether it can be for commercial use or for non-profit use. Now, in the open source world, there are also instances where you also have to specify that although this is open source, you cannot redistribute it or use it without consent. That consent means that you have to speak to the person who made this thing available for the whole world to use or reuse. Mm-hmm. And there are licenses that exist, such as MIT license, Apache 2.0, some other ones, BSD something, or there are some that exist on the licensing platform. But like I said, you have to be very, very deliberate about what the software will be used for, how you want people to use it. So if you don't give that consent, then automatically all you just need to do is make sure that you know who is using it and how they use it. First of all, you approach them and tell them to stop using it. Then if they refuse, then I think you have to speak to them.
Yes.
All right. Are you satisfied with that answer? Olainka?
Yes. Just I decided an answer. Okay. So
okay, let's move on to the next person. Zeliat, I want to unmute you again. I discovered that your network was bad at the time. So let's see if we can get back to Zeliat. Yeah, we can hear you, Zeliat. You're on.
Okay, you can hear me now.
Do you have a specific speaker you want to address your question to? Do you have a specific speaker you want to address your question to?
Yes, I particularly want Miss MM to answer the question.
Okay. She said MM. Okay, continue.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. I think I got your question.
Most time when you see internship opportunities now, they come. Okay.
Try.
So I want to add to that. Most of these internship opportunities that come up now, they actually don't need.
Go ahead.
You say what?
You say if you find it difficult to speak.
Okay, so most internship opportunities now. Okay.
Well, we can hear you. You can just go ahead.
Zelihat, you can type the question. I'll get it from the chat channel. You can, yes, just type the question.
But once you've typed the question, then I think MM, we would like to hear the answer openly so that other people too can learn from the answer. Let's know the question and the answer too. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, King Mercy, let me give you opportunity to ask a question. So you are on. King Mercy, you are on. King Mercy, you are on. Okay, I think Uzo should get ready. We had some pre-submitted question while filling the form, and we discovered that some of the questions are very, very important and valid. And I think answer to those questions will help a lot of people here. So I don't know if Uzo is ready with the question, so we can just start with that.
Good afternoon, everybody, once again. And I also want to thank all our speakers for
that's the accolades you want.
Privilege to help inspire people here. So okay, first of all, I think there is another question in the comment section that we missed. And this question is actually from Abdul Rahman. And he asked whether there is any relationship between data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So I don't know if Danushka is available. I think he can answer this question.
Mr. Danushka, he had to leave because he had something in the office. So I think other speakers will be able to answer that.
Okay. I don't know, is Mr. Namdi available? So maybe he could help us out with this.
Mr. Santos, are you there?
Yes, I'm.
Okay. You had the question.
Sorry, no, I don't have any questions.
Okay, I want to repeat the question so that someone asked the question, so want you to help us see if we can answer the question. So Uzo, please repeat the question again.
Okay, the person asks whether there is any relationship between data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence.
Okay. So I'm not much into this machine learning and artificial intelligence, but as far as I know, there is relationship because if you want to create a machine learning algorithm, right? So first thing which you need is data. So the purpose of data science is to clean up your data, and then it gets fed to a machine learning algorithm, which takes the data and produces something. And of course, by the algorithms which you have created using machine learning is finally given to a AI system, which can actually automatically generate the next step what he needs to do. So yes, there is a relationship, but they are different things altogether. So if I talk about data science, he'll be more into collecting data, cleaning up data. If I talk about machine learning guy will include, of course, cleaning up data, getting the correct data, and using and producing the algorithms, which is most important part in machine learning.
Okay.
I think Hassan also has something to add, so you can unmute him as well.
All right.
Okay, let me give you opportunity to 2 minutes.
My gun.
Hello, Messi, you're live.
Excuse me.
Okay, please, Uzo, just go ahead with the.
Okay. And all right, I got from the questions that were sent earlier. People ask, there was a question in particular, and it says, between cloud computing and Android development, which has to do with mathematics more, and what are the job prospects for each? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
unmute our speakers.
Can you unmute our speakers? Maybe Mr. Nandi and Mr. Hassan. So any one of them.
Mr. Nandi is on.
All right. Good afternoon once again. It's a very interesting one because cloud computing and Android. Wow. Like relationship with knowledge of maths. I think maths just sharpens the way you think. And cloud computing is one aspect that deals with numbers too, because when you talk about some like very advanced web technologies like domain name resolution, domain name service, how the internet works, networking in general, the whole idea of bits and bytes and similar things are related to how the cloud works. I think the knowledge of maths is very basic for you to actually understand how these things work, because if you want to understand like an IP address now, if you want to make sure that you're in a particular subnet or probably in a particular IP range, you need to understand the maths behind it. Then for Android is very interesting in the fact that so many of the things that go on in Android is very delicate, very sensitive. So mathematics is something that if 1 + 1 is not 1, 1 + 1 is not 2, sorry, it can also be binary. It can also be hexadecimal. You can actually convert 1 + 1, just binary, but when you start doing some theorems or start going into advanced mathematics, it makes it very much interesting for you to know that mathematics is the basis for any kind of computational thinking you're going to be involved with. So from my own point of view, I feel if just like when we are growing up, English language and mathematics are like basics. You have to prerequisite for any kind of course you want to take. Computer science is not an exception. And if you want to have a very smooth sail, mathematics is something that you just have to understand to an extent, not to the point where you're writing your own hypothesis or something else. The basics still are very, very much paramount moving forward. So you would want to actually get in your ammo.
Yes, we'll be taking the last question, please. Uzo, are you there? Okay. All right.
Okay. Hi.
Right.
The question from Zaliat Mohammed. Let me read it. Most of the internship opportunities are for people who are already experienced, not for beginners. So I want to know if there are opportunities for beginners. Okay. And our second question goes, my question is for Ms. MM. I want to know if there is any remote internship now. Yeah, there is. Most of the internship opportunities is yes, they tell you they're not for absolute beginners, but it's really, really not true. There are tons of opportunities that are for beginners. If you can send me a DM, I could compile a list for you. But it also depends on which area are you specializing. Are you into programming? Are you into design? Are you into digital marketing? You have to specify. But there are tons of scholarship or internship. Right now, the underlying community is accepting applications for the Google Africa Developer Scholarship, and it is currently on. I could send you the link to register. So there are opportunities for beginners, and that particular scholarship is for beginners. I mean, total beginners. What you have to do, you just need to know the basic in terms of be a computer literate, of course, you know how to navigate some platforms, especially Slack channel. So you're good to go. Zeliat, I don't know if that has answered the question.
Okay, Zeliat. Right. Let's move on. Okay, the winner of our first quiz. Okay, before we get to that, the questions and answer can continue after now. So I've shared the process by which we can do that. All our speakers all have displayed their handles, and I've also mentioned how we can get in touch with them. So they are all on our Twitter page. You can get in touch with them directly, send them a DM. Just indicate you are from this webinar. I believe you get a faster response. Okay, so you can also tweet at Hello World Up with the hashtag or with the hashtag Hello World Up, and you also mention the speaker you want to direct your question to, and we'll see that your answer comes in as soon as possible. Right. The winner for our first Charlie quiz. I don't know for the hackathon guys. I don't know if you've submitted, but we'll check that after the event, and we'll announce the winner via our social media and contact the winner of the prize. So but for the quiz session, the winner of the first is Mr. Namdi. Like seriously, Mr. Namdi, you're supposed to give a giveaway for the one for us here, because you're actually a mentor. So, but still give you that. The winner is the winner, but actually, from the mentorship position, from the mentor position, you can probably sponsor more 5 quiz and a winner. That won't be bad. Also, the second person for the second winner is King Mercy for the second question. That's the winner of the second question. So you can just drop your handle or just send us a DM. Send us a DM with your handle and your phone number so that we can get in touch with you to collect your prize. All right, guys. That's been a wonderful ride so far, and I want to use the opportunity to appreciate all our speakers. There would have been room for I am seeing so many questions on the chat box, but unfortunately we cannot take everything right now. So you can see, hold on to your questions. That's why we have a social media, and that's why we have a community that you can also get in touch and your questions be asked. So you can tweet at us, can check us on Instagram at Hello World Up. Can also Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Hello World Up to get connected to join the community. And also we have a website, but posted on Netlify. So just go to Hello World Up, .netlify.app. You'll see our website there. So you can read more about us there, see our past events, and also read more on our team members and all that. So once again, let me appreciate Mr. Santosh, Mr. Namdi, Jonah, and Danuska, and Hassan Sani. These are very wonderful, amazing speakers. I'm very, very, very privileged to have them on this platform, and it's been an honor so far in the Switch ride. And I want to appreciate you guys. I want to thank you all for being part of this webinar, and much more webinar will be coming up. So just make sure you are following us on all social media and get updated with those updates. All right. So one last word from our speakers. Just have 1 minute for our speakers to just give us the rounding up talk. 1 minute of inspiration and get this over with. So I'll start with Mr. Namdi. Mr. Namdi.
Yeah. I would have wanted to start first so that it will make so I'll be gentlemen in the house.
Like, actually, I think most people want her to come last because they say the best for the last.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it's been an honor to be with us for more than 2 hours or 3 hours. And one thing that I've just picked up from every conversation that everybody has tried to start or has always been sharing throughout this period is that those little things that you feel are not really significant to you can actually mean the world to somebody else. And as much as the consistency is there, you should also remember that there's always a story behind every success, whether it's bad, whether it's good, whether it's sad. The underlying principle here is that you should just keep going as long as it makes you happy, it's touching somebody's life, and most of all, it's trying to take care of some needs you have. From me to everyone here, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an intermediate, whether you are an advanced person, always remember why you started and don't become so overconfident that you forget that you have to keep on learning. In this path we've chosen, you can't stop learning. So from me to everyone, I'd like to appreciate you, appreciate your time, and believe that we'll meet again somewhere. For I think I saw one of the work that I would like to say very thumbs up to you. And to keep up doing the work. Auntie Zalia, continue preaching the data science, and for every woman on the chat, don't stop at where you are. Aspire for great things, and the men will always support you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's always an honor to hear from you. Thank you, sir. Okay. We're calling on Hassan Sani. He has been so mute since speakers are answering questions. So I'd like to hear from you, Mr. Hassan. Mr. Hassan, you're on.
Yeah. So thank you. This has been an amazing talk so far. I can't believe, I couldn't believe how much I've learned. Two things I really wanted to point out is first, as a developer or anybody, it doesn't really kill to say I don't know. There's nothing wrong with, and there's no level I should have known this. This is an industry that is fast growing, very fast growing. So it's okay if maybe somebody that started something yesterday is doing a magic in front of you. You should be humble enough to go, please, how did you do this? Because you should always be ready to learn. There's nothing wrong with accepting that. Look, this one you're talking about, I do not know it. I want you to tell me also. And the second thing is that you should, there's this thing I believe that the biggest change are always with the small things you do. Don't believe because you are building this hackathon that was just posted today, the one where you check email. Don't think it's too small to do, because tomorrow you will be sitting with someone and all you wanted to do is to validate an email. If you want to understand it, do it. That's small things you do. And a friend of mine, Sani Yusuf, I don't know if you know him, he said, you are only good at something in as much as you can relearn the basic of it. That's the only time you're good at it. When Santosh was talking about his story, and I was reading it, it was really interesting because I knew you was talking about him, but I saw myself in that story. I was like, oh, so just be always ready to learn, always ready to move on to the next stage, and be always ready to accept the fact, okay, what you're talking about here, you're not to be, just tell the person, this one you're talking about is new to me. Please share this information with us. That's all I wanted to put out. And this has been so much, the speakers, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Statson. Thank you. And great work you're doing for the community also. Angular community, Facebook Devs, Abuja.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. Okay. Next speaker. Mr. Santosh, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Just inspire us for 1 minute.
Yeah, so I mean, the only takeaway from my side is don't wait for anyone to tell you what to do. Just keep the target ready and do everything which you can do to achieve that target. This is how you will be a good developer. Don't if you just keep listening to someone else that this is how it should be done, this is how it should be made, you will never achieve anything. I always prefer to set my own target, and this is how I have achieved so far in last 1 year. So I had a target that I want to achieve something in this community, and I just worked really hard to actually achieve that target. That's it. So don't wait for anyone to do that. Just short and small.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And as a person in my developing career, I aspire also to be a DDE. So also that is a level, as I mentioned before, you should actually aspire to reach, especially if you are very much interested in Google technologies. All right, so our final speaker. Let's hear from Jonah.
Wow. I can't stop smiling, but thank you for the comments earlier on. Okay, so I'll really emphasize on having a to-do list. A to-do list will go a long way. It will guide your learning. Remember to set targets as when due. Also, do not beat yourself up when you don't get it the first time. No, do not beat yourself up. Rather, let it just be a stepping stone. Like, hey, let it be a part of you. Failure is not a bad thing. No, it's the best that can ever happen to you. It is either you let it define you or you define it by making it your success story. Also, while growing in your tech career, it is either you break it or you make it. You are responsible for what you consume. You're responsible for what you let in. Whoever mentorship guide you're under, you're responsible for it. So also be responsible for getting failures too. It is not a bad thing. I don't have much, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you very much. And it's an honor having you here. Thank you. Okay. All right. That's all, guys. There are so many questions coming in, so many comments, but it's active on social media. We get in touch with you, and we actually want to connect with the speakers. You can connect with the speakers. Just make sure you mention us. We will get you connected to the speakers. All right. My name is Ayodeji Ogundare. Team lead for Hello World Up. Okay. You can reach me on Twitter at Dejiso, on all social media actually at Dejiso, DEJISOL. All right. So and I have my team members starting from the technical lead, Olawale, and the operations lead, David Aremo. And also a communications lead, Uzona Anemeka. Then the marketing lead, Isaac Idibia. So with this, we form a great team of Hello World Up, and actually created this community out of the passion to grow the developers community. And you can also be part of us, and you can also show your interest by joining the team, joining the community. Right, so that will be all from me, and I want to appreciate you guys for hanging on. Then for the hackathon, guys, please don't forget to send your results. Send your link as a DM to our Twitter page, our Twitter handle, sorry. Then also you can also send via email, helloworldup.dev@gmail.com. Also, you can send it to us on Facebook, whatever means you can use to reach us. Remember, it's first come, and the first right answer will get the prize. Thank you very much. All right, so that's all for now, and I appreciate you guys for connecting. Thank you.